Hello, beautiful people. Today I am going to be reviewing one of the most prestigious tournaments in the entire poker schedule. It is the $10,000 WCOOP main event final table. It is a studded lineup with world-class players everywhere, and today I'm going to do my best to learn from them but also enjoy the show. As you can see, there is just world-class names everywhere. European, I need Mazzari, Prebz. Speaking of Prebz, he gets aces the very first hand. The introductions are going to have to wait. Off 8 big blinds, I still think we see a raise here. A lot of people might want to just shove, but we just don't see that these days. People are always raising their aces. Prebz will be a player here who takes maybe a king 9 off and find a raise fold, or an ace 7 off and find a raise fold, rather than shoving something at the very bottom. And straight away, we got a player in the tank. I don't imagine that Davi will want to defend here, even though he clearly can afford to. Just like, you got to think about the range that's raising here. All right, Nolet, the chip leader with 158 big blinds, obviously going to be raising, and Yepser's not going to be shoving. They're going to be 3-bet calling kings. They're going to be 3-bet calling aces. They might even 3-bet call ace king suited here, but they are one of these shorter stacks. But imagine we see this go to 6 big blinds or so, and Nolet's just not going to be able to fold. Obviously, I don't know why I'm saying he's not going to be able to fold. He's got an absolute monster. Nolet's licking his lips. Nolet might even want to click it back, given how polar Yepser is in this spot. Do we ever see the 10 big blinds? It honestly wouldn't shock me. Yeah, 10.5 big blinds. The boys love a click war, and I think at this point, we don't see any more clicks. But hey, I would not be surprised. At this point, I've got kings. I'm all in. We get called. First all-in of the final table, it is kings versus ace king. Oh my god, the ace on the river. What a nasty start. Yepser, obviously one of the top players in the game today, out of there in 9th place. And Nolet has 184 big blinds on the WCOOP main event final table. So far on this final table, we saw one cooler. Nolet was the lucky player who had the ace on the river, but here Davi opening off 60 big blinds. If I'm Prebz, I just don't have it in me to ever consider folding this hand. Yes, Davi's opening to the chip leader. Yes, we're 8-handed, but like ace queen off 8.7 big blinds. If Prebz found a fold here, I'd have to start calling him a god. He's one of my favorite players to watch play poker. He's always ahead of the curve, introducing strategies that eventually trickle down to the masses. But unfortunately for him, there's just nothing he can do here. He's all in with ace queen versus ace king and needs a miracle. Oh my god, there it is. WCOOP rivers and the main event to kick us off. Pass probably not loving life raising ace 10 off here. I would guess that ace 9 off, ace 8 off would go in the bin. Like, there's 2 really short stacks here, and he's opening into 2 reasonably big stacks. So yeah, not loving life at ace 10. You can see he went for a little bit of a bigger size, which does indicate that he's probably going to be raising tighter, but ace 10 just about sliding in there, and both players flopping top pair. I wonder if Davi considered potentially re-raising pre-flop, or would maybe prefer use the suited region. This is a good turn for pass. If I was Davi, you got to remember how tight pass is opening. Versus double barrel, it's easy to say looking at the cards, but I think I'd lean almost towards folding ace 4 off on the turn. It's tough against that size, but again, you got to remember, like, pass is probably opening 20% here, maybe less. I prefer call with like queen jack, king queen, 5x of clubs, some spade draws, you know, something that's a little bit less static, that's not going to be drawing dead as often. Like, you're going to be drawing dead a lot with ace 4 in this situation. Pretty gangster if they now find a bluff, though, I gotta say. They do have worse hands to call the turn, just because they'll have draws. Ace 10, obviously very happy to check it down. And for European, not really incentivized to want to go 3 ways against these players. I would suspect that fold or 3-bet the options, and not loving life at the prospect of 3-betting either. So these boys, as much as they like to be very aggressive and put the pressure on, they do still play disciplined poker. Like, it's so easy to just flick the 1 big blind in there, but with your risk premium so high in this situation versus the 2 stacks that can knock you out, you do just have to make some pretty tight folds. Do we see Nolet go for the double barrel? It's kind of the Mega Master. Like, you still get called by ace jack, ace 10, some flush draws, but you can fold out like 9s, 10s, jacks, occasionally an 8, maybe a queen. And 464, maybe considering bluffing, but does have a lot of worse hands still, in the sense of having like just ace 10 and ace jack and stuff like this. Wow, this is pretty sick. I wonder what I wonder what you can 3-bet call here is 4-6-4. This is pretty crazy. 4-6-4 does defend the ace king. So like one side of it for me is if you 3-bet, you have to go huge. But if you get it in and win and have 260 big blinds, you just win the tournament so often. But no, that has to be so selective in what they can get in. You're probably not going to get in very well. I wonder if you probably can't 3-bet kings. You probably meant the flat aces sometimes. I know that sounds stupid. I think 3-betting aces to like 20 big blinds might be a thing, maybe even bigger, because you just want to get the SPR down. It's all well and good having aces, but that's one pair. And Nolet's risk premium is very high against you, but they'll still get the call in position quite a lot. It's pretty crazy, man. Like playing a 3-bet pot with this stack setup out of position against Nolet just seems like disaster. But yeah, I'm gonna look into some of these hands. Maybe if anyone out there is watching would be interested in studying them together, that's something we could do in the future. Is Nolet thinking of trying to fold out the chop here? No, that would have been gangster. European in the mix again, raising with 10s. This board is not great for European because 4-6-4 can't 3-bet call very wide, so it does get the flat call, like even maybe like 7-6 suited, obviously 7s through 5s. And European, I don't think would open pocket 7s pre-flop. Maybe 7s, but like I would probably fold 7s pre. It's pretty ugly spot. If 4-6-4 doubles barrels, European is very much in the blender. Now 4-6-4 might not want to bluff with ace-high spades. It's going to be an awful spot for European if he does. So I think you want to be betting really polar on this turn, because I don't think you want to bet even like ace queen if you decided to bet the flop, like especially for this size. Yeah, it's a pretty nice play. Very, very tough spot for European. Just because European's going to check all like aces and kings on the flop as well, I would guess. I don't think he will get the stack off. Oh, my beloved Prebz might be about to say goodbye. We've seen once before where he shoved the ace queen and got there to chop it up against the ace king. He's probably gonna need equal luck. Close to drawing dead. GG to Prebz, one of the best to ever play the game, and we've got 7 players. The 2 chip leaders going at it once more. It is Nolet against 4-6-4. Quite the decent flop for Nolet. I don't think they want to be range betting here, given, like, I'm not sure if they just want to be betting like 8s, 9s, like ace-7 of hearts. Because like 4-6-4 still has a lot of strong hands. This is not like your standard big blind spot. And I also think like king 10-6 could make some arguments for some quite big bets, but you know, building around like 2 pair, not like ace king like in chips. This is quite the turn card. I'll let go in for it with 2 pair. I honestly think it's easy to say this because 4-6-4 has the nuts, but I really think that king 10 cannot pure bet this turn. Yeah, they do check call the turn. I'm kind of interested in that. If they check raise the turn, is it just because they have a lack of coverage when the board changes drastically on the river? Like, it's very tough for us to check raise with a flush draw there. It's very tough for us to justify check raising with a set when there's premium so high. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's interesting. These spots are just so insane where you have to just be very, very selective. But like, I could see check raising there with ace queen and then also bluffing like queen 10 or something. Like, I don't think you want to bluff like queen x of clubs or whatever the flush draw was, because bet folding that equity would be pretty dire. But yeah, not sure. Pretty gangster if you were bluffing though. I need Mazzari. This feels very, very close. If he does decide to pull the trigger, it's going to be poor time in 4.8 big blinds. The considerable shortest stack. I don't think this is straightforward though. He does make the fold. And European versus 4-6-4. I don't think he wants to play any raises. I think he would be pure limping here. That's actually interesting. I'm gonna save this hand for later on, just because when you look at Natrium and I need Mazzari, like, I mean, I guess a European just makes this like 10 big blinds, 9 big blinds, something in this region. There's no world in which he shoves. I will tell you that much right now. I think 4-6-4 gets to go nuts here. I would have personally checked Jack 10 off. Wow, that is quite something. I would never ever be calling here, but I am not playing 10k WCOOP final tables. I understand that European has an incredibly polar range where, you know, like if he has king deuce off, if he has queen 5 off, ace deuce off, this kind of thing, like Jack 10 is going to flop reasonably well. But he also has really strong hands, and it's very problematic for you. I understand that your risk premium is not high at all in this spot, I don't know. Maybe when you have 125 big blinds, like you just don't fold when they make it 9 big blinds. You know, maybe your risk premium is just low enough that like you're just like, yeah, that is not going to work here. I'm really interested to look at this one. This is pretty crazy to me. I think European without the club is most likely going to be all in here. This is interesting. Do we want to be clicking aces here? European is a favorite to have 60 big blinds. Clubs come on a turn, but they miss. That's just sometimes these boys are playing some wild poker. As so often is the case with poker tournaments, a lot of the bust outs come from pretty big coolers, and here Nolette going to be a strong favorite to eliminate I Need Mazzari. 4.6 big blinds, ace jack suited, an absolute monster. Even though we're playing 7-handed, the chip leader having ace queen is quite unlucky, and it does look like we are going to be down. Oh my days! We are going to be down to nothing. Never mind. We still have 7. I Need Mazzari stays in. The short stacks do not like that. Davy marker definitely raising 9s, but quite the spot, man. I wonder if Nolette can just shove here. Like, I probably not. But like, put him in the bin. Put him in the blender. Let's see what you're made of. Let's get your balls on the table and see what's up. Awful spot for Davy maker. I'm not sure how much flatting you want to do here. Shoving's scary, but it might be the play. It's a lot of big blinds though if you're wrong. Maybe you want to lean more towards having like ace-5 suited or something, you know, just so that when they do 3-bet call, although maybe not, because like Nolette can still 3-bet call like 10s and jacks against you, I believe. So you probably actually want to be a little bit more linear towards the top, like start rejamming like a king-queen suited. Like Nolette doesn't have to be super polar there, I don't think. Like I think Nolette can 3-bet call like ace-queen suited, pocket 10s, and once players can like 3-bet call these hands, like your ace-5s, your ace-2s, like banging them in, isn't good. Like you only want to do that when someone's really polar, and I think Nolette can go a little bit wider. You know, losing 50 big blinds isn't great, but his risk premium is not going to be that high versus Davy. Pass has pretty nice hand for a check raise, but it is versus Europeans under the gun open. The 3-liner, the backdoor flush draw, I'd be pretty tempted. You can also just choose the peaceful life and decide to fold, but interesting. So this is interesting to me because like we're not raising ace jack here on the flop. It doesn't matter. European with a mandatory open with the ace-10 suited. 4-6-4 could go after him with jack 10 off. I would probably not take this spot. European already has a tight opening range. He's not very incentivized to raise when the big blind's so short, and there's going to be like the collision factor between Davy and 4-6-4 quite often. But also you've got a boatload of chips, and there is a stack that has 7.7 big blinds. I Need Mazzari has 8 big blinds, so putting the pressure on, probably fine. European deciding to call, which is pretty interesting also. Grim spot on the flop. Like we're still ahead of the vast majority of the hands that bluff pre-flop. I don't think that you're going to see too much being pulled from a deuce 7 or 8. Maybe some like suited king X with the king 7, king 8, but like they might just be able to call pre. Wow, this is quite the spot. European with the nut flush draw, 4-6-4. At the moment, just with jack high, but the betting lead and a good shot to the nuts. I don't think you can shove here. I just don't think you can shove. Wow. Ain't that a European kind of river? Like obviously he's one of the best, but I see the memes about people saying he just runs well, but 4-6-4 rivers a straight. European makes the nut flush and he goes for the check. What's the size? What are we trying to target if we go all in? I don't know if you're getting called by like, I don't know if European has a 6. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. 97 big blinds. God damn, man. 4-6-4 just goes from having 120 big blinds to 40 big blinds and being in the middle of the pack. All right, 4-6-4 is now the player who could very much be in the blender. Davy could put him in the blender with this hand. Nolette could put him in the blender with this hand. It's just one little moment on a final table. So this is a spot where I think Davy needs to be 3-bet calling extremely tight. So in this kind of spot, I think I would prefer be ripping in the ace-5 suited than like the pocket 9s. With the ace-5 suited, we block the top of their value. Oof, I don't know how much I like calling here. That's actually very interesting. It's just like you're out of position, you're covered. There's a 7 big blind stack, a 7.8 big blind stack. You don't really want to be calling a lot here. Maybe 9s, 10s, ace jack suited are like the hands that we do this with. And I'm not in for trapping this hand. I'm just in for betting very, very large and doing so with maybe like Jack 10 of clubs, King 10 of hearts, and ace queen and nines. Like, I just don't think that you want to be slow playing sets here. Like, Davi's not going to have aces that check the flop. Davi might have queens, but you get stacked anyway. And now it's just, now I'm blocking the river, man. Like, I'm not betting 2/3, I don't think. That seems a little bit just too big now. I've no idea. 15 big blinds. You might make him fold fucking king jack, mate. You might make him fold pocket tens. He might call king queen though, because he blocks ace queen and king jack. This would be pretty insane if he gets called. No. That's real greedy. All right, we see European changing the gears, moving slowly from third up into fourth. Earlier on, we seen him having to make some tight folds as one of the middling stacks, but now close to chip lead, he does get to raise up ace 8. No, let the chip leader calls him with tens, and this is what you'll see a lot, right? Not that I think anyone would want to be who watches this like, oh yeah, 3-bet get in tens, but no, let's probably flatting kings pre-flop a lot of the time. Nah, is he? When you're chip lead and you cover and you can get 200 big blinds, maybe not kings. Maybe they 3-bet call kings plus ace king suited and they just go real big. Like they just make it like 12.5 pre or something. Maybe even more. Fuck, I don't know, man. ICM is tough. But tens for certain not getting 3-bet called. And on this turn card, I wouldn't bet if you tried to force me to. I'd be like, ain't happening. Obviously, we can see against ace 8, it would have been a great bet. And with that river card, it would have been an exceptional bet. So I don't think European's actually that short of bluffs here. Like he can bring any ace jack, ace 10, maybe ace queen, jack 10, queen jack, ace 6 suited, ace 7 suited, even ace 7 off with a club. You know, he's opening ace 8. So I think that you do get to go, you know, a little overbet, I think is reasonable. It's hard for Nolet to justify checking flushes on the turn. Probably would even bet a decent chunk of sets. So this feels pretty clean. I think 125 is getting to the threshold. Like I might be tempted by 150, but you gotta just be careful how it works against the other fellow big stack. But Nolet has, in my opinion, pretty poor hand to call, depending where he thinks he pulls his plus from. But you know, like in my opinion, jack 10, queen 10. This kind of region's going to kind of be mandatory bluffs for European. So I think it's a nice disciplined fold. He probably would have called a 9, not interfering with the bluffs so hard, you know, rather than the 2 10s. All right, this doesn't seem reasonable. There is 1, 2, 3, 4. All aces are dead. Wait, does that make Natrium is almost drawing dead? Nolet, I wouldn't call ace 8 from here, especially if I could tell you that there's no aces left in the deck. I need Mazzari, of course, folding, and now it falls to pass. Does pass want to play any raises here? If it was like 10 big blinds, never. If it was like 3 big blinds, yes. 6 is kind of in the middle where I would probably still just call. I know European has ace king. This might be the hand that you just yeet all in. Do you want to click ace king out of position against like a hand that has to be like pass has to have a reasonably strong hand? Like if you can make them fold pocket 10s, pocket jacks, not pocket queens, it's a huge win. And ace king is not got a lot of outs left given all the aces were dead. We do lose a player. Natrium out in 7th place. European takes a big hit and pass goes into pretty much joint chip lead. But yeah, I think ace king just wants to shove there. European going for the raise with king 8 off. I mean, it's a good kind of setup to do it. No let in a small blind. Toughest spot for him to really mess with him. Covers the 2 stacks. I need Mazzari super short and a big. And I have no idea what you should do if you've got pocket 2s here. I mean, you've got pairs, 4 big blinds. We do see it run. European open-ender doesn't get there. Couple of all-ins lost in a row, and I need Mazzari sticks around, much to the dismay of 464 and Davi, who obviously would have loved to see him out of there. I might raise fold this one. I'm looking at kings, all right? Am I biased? Maybe, but you definitely want to raise call like aces here still, I believe. Maybe ace 3 off. You could, maybe not. You're dead, mate. You should have raise folded. You're out of there. We've got 6 players left. Sorry, we've got 5 players left. God, time flies when you're having fun. But yeah, definitely going to raise my kings here. Just make it 3.5 big blinds, 3 big blinds. I don't like calling this. They're not short enough that, you know, they're going to just have open shoves, and they're going to defend a lot of hands. Like, they're the short stack. There's not that much pressure on them. Yeah, I would just raise kings. Like, if you want to trap, I would just have like ace king off or something. kind of raise like the best pairs and the best suited region and then go for some limp shoves with the offsuit region. But yeah, just like raising kings. Maybe they will have the last laugh, and then I don't know, man. Like I don't know. I'm not slow playing 7-5 deuce. Like, not for me. Davi, I would probably mix this turn, lean in more towards betting. And now, like, what do kings do? Do we want to check shove and rep a draw? It's a lot of big blinds to check shove. Very awkward to make like anything 10 big blind. Oh my god. Punished. Davi maker. You got to be very polar on this river. Could we be all in? Like, we're not betting worse than a queen. Do we want to bet like queen 9, or are we building around 2 pair? They go for pot. Probably the responsible thing to do, and they do get quickly called. All right. Pass opens with ace 3 off. I don't know if I love this open. And European calls. This might work out perfectly. 4-6-4 has a pretty nice hand to pull the trigger with. European, got him. No backdoors. No. 40 big blind pot going European's way. We are down to 4 players. No let, not going to be folding king 4 suited. Yes, passes on his direct left, but that's whatever. We're raising our suited kings here. We're playing forehand. We've got to open up a little bit and pass with the mandatory call. If I'm Davi, I think I just fold king 10 off. I don't think we want to really get in the mix with these 2 lads. Pass still going to have many strong hands in their range. Probably would prefer something where it's easier to make the nuts. Now, I said that, and they did flop the nut flush draw, but it feels kind of dicey pre-flop to me. You would imagine that pass. I would not have found a check here with a set. So nice hand. I guess going to be very difficult to bet across 3 streets, 3 ways for all the chips. So mixes in a check and turns a very disguised full house. I don't think they want to bet too big here. I could be wrong, like they might want to be betting somewhat polar, but I think like 50% is around the cap. Like they want to be able to bet an ace, right? Like they want to be able to bet like ace 10, ace jack with a heart for sure, mix it in if they don't have a heart a lot of the time. And Davi maker not going to call, going to raise. This is pretty gangster. And this is probably very unlucky for them in the sense that pass has a full house. Not many players will. Now, maybe people are mixing in like ace 5, ace 7, but to mix in the 7s is pretty sick. And this is a disaster. Davi has now rivered the nut flush and probably with 70% the pot left just has to shove and is going to be out of here. And I'm sorry. It goes back to pre-flop for me. I would have folded. I'd still be in the WCOOP main event. I personally would still be in. They are going to be out. I don't see how they're ever going to get away here. They don't go for the shove. Man, maybe they will get away. Obviously repping. Wow, this is sick. I mean, we're going to see the shove, but then just Davi got it. This is sick. Maybe Davi's still going to be in the main as well. Wow. Oh man, that's fucked. That is pretty fucked. We're down to 3 players. Davi maker GG. Every player now almost guaranteed $500,000. All right. I think Jack 7 suited, pretty nice hand in general. I would have raised, but obviously fine the call too. Let in position, ace 9 suited. It's obviously kind of getting to a tricky stack depth, but I don't think Europeans can have a lot of limp shoves here, so I like raising. Can't imagine Europeans going anywhere. We see king 7 tray with a backdoor flush draw for European. Now let's been getting pretty unlucky, making some second best hands against European, and when you're playing against the best players in the world and you're making second best hands, it's pretty tough. I think check call here is just going to be very standard. I would never raise. Interesting turn card. I don't think ace 9 of hearts is a hand that we're particularly interested in barreling here. Of course, we could make like a 7 or a tray fold, but I would mostly just be taking my river. And will European get value? He's not a man who misses it too often. Does he have enough bluffs to go in a bigger size with a 7? It goes like half pot. Oh, that's annoying. I mean, obviously no, that doesn't really interact with any of the bluffs, but I do think that a lot of the bluffs that European might potentially have would check raise flop at some frequency. Anything in the 4, 5, 5, 6 diamonds kind of region. Oh, it's a tough spot. I mean, I guess he might call here with ace 9, but fold with like ace jack and ace queen, like just not interacting with like the queen 10 or the queen jacks and the. All right, no let with a premium deluxe holding, raising the kings blind versus blind against pass. I would call. I'd see a few community cards. And goes for the check. Yeah, I mean, fine. Like, we are considerably short stack. Might be tempted to bet. Obviously, the board does change a lot. And we can't really go like bombing it, I don't think. But like, not sure. Pass with a non-decision. Call. Evaluate river. I think no let goes for it on any card below a 9. It's not a spade. Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty clean. It's a very, very tough spot for pass. Of course, has top pair. But, you know, no let to be bluffing like a Jack 9, King Jack. I'd probably call. Like, don't think I could bring myself to fold this one. We have a lot of call fold. Like, we have a lot of random spades. We have a lot of like misdraws. I don't really think that you can fold this. And the check works out pretty well for no let. Gotta say, pretty interesting. No let opens the button. European ain't having it. No let obviously not folding here. I would have been pretty tempted to 3-bet with pass his hand rather than call. Like, I don't think I really want to call too much here, but we do see a flip. 50 big blinds, a clean flop for European. Diamonds no good, and we are heads up in the WCOOP main event. It is European with 156 big blinds versus pass 72 with 50 big blinds, a 3-1 lead. Both players guaranteed $659. $659, that'd be crap main event. 659,000 with 1 million going for first prize. Both players played pretty good. It's been a bit of a clinic from European though. Came in with one of the more mid-lane stacks and has kind of just gone through the gears so far, and now a very, very heavy favorite to get the job done. I don't know if Pass is someone who's particularly good at heads up, but at 45 big blinds deep, if I thought the other person was better than me, like, I wouldn't be using a limping strategy. I'd be trying to get that variance down. I'd be raising, 3-betting, gambling, but maybe he's someone who specializes in it. Maybe he feels like he's doing well against European, or maybe it's just a strategy he's more comfortable with going for. But we see European raising once more with 9-8 suited. Pretty good flop to continue, I would guess, on the slightly larger side, as we see him going for B75, which I think is quite clean. You know, particularly with like 9-8 suited, we're going to make them fold a lot, like King 9, Queen 9, no backdoors. Even backdoors are already immediately in the blender, putting pressure on a deuce. Like, look, we're in the tank, man. We're in the tank. Time intel wise, I'm not huge on it, but like, players won't tank the flop with a 5 there very often, and they also won't tank a flush draw. So like, this would be like a fake scare card to me, and I would also keep betting. Of course, if you're watching and you want to get me with that time intel, good luck, but it does feel kind of legit, like it was a legit close spot. And if I'm past with ace deuce, like, the turn is grim. One of the reasons why I might call is that if a river comes a club, and say like European was sitting here with 2 jacks without a club, you might have some really nice bluffing opportunities. Like, it's hard to call the turn without, I mean, you could just do it with like something like 8-7, right? It's a little bit more likely to be live. Wow, European just pulls the trigger. Get in the fucking bin, son. Get in the fucking bin. I mean, if pass calls here, it's one of the greatest calls I've ever seen, but I think it's just a frustrated moment rather than a legitimate tank to call. Although, and European has run away with it, 25 big blinds versus 180 big blinds. Obviously a monster heads up, like it's $350,000 heads up, and European's just like boom, boom, boom. No problem. Pass has now decided to start limping as we've got shorter. I don't really understand the logic, but like I said, he's playing 10k main events and has a minimum of a $650,000 score. I am commentating on them months after the fact. But he has flop trips, so maybe he knew something I didn't. European with a flush draw, I would guess, will probably mostly want to play check raise on ace 3-3 if he's going to continue. Now pass, I would just call. I would try and leave a little bit of rope. If a diamond comes, we're cooler, it's over. And there it is. Unless we see a 4, an ace, a 5, or a tray on the river, European is going to be betting twice and winning the WCOOP 2024 for $1 million. If I'm pass, I just call. I don't want to shove here. I don't want to raise. I want to keep the bluffs in. You know, you can have like 5-6 of hearts. You can have like king deuce with the king of diamonds. It's a clean river card. And there's only one thing that's happening right now. European is all in. Pass is calling. And we are going to have a WCOOP 2024 champion. Call. Game over. $1 million for European. One of the greatest poker players to ever play the game. I'm not sure if he'd ever won a scoop or a main event before, but what an unbelievable result. Congratulations to Pass, who gets second place for $659,000. Unreal. I love doing these videos. I love learning from the best players in the world. If this is something that you would like to see more of, please let me know in the comments. Please let me know if there's any tournaments in particular that you would like me to go over. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.